a very sorry. It is something that it has faced a few challenges, but let me just again be clear on the issue that Spain has a lot of issues at the stake when it comes to developing this Euro-Mediterranean process. Why? Because Spain's focus on the Western Mediterranean and the Atlantic countries, it's crucial for the Strait and the Canary Islands, And there is competition for influence in this region that it involves countries like Morocco, the US, sidelining with the EU and Spain, because Aruzhan also posed the question about France, Algeria, but also the US, etc. So let me just tell you that reactivating the Euro-Mediterranean process is pivotal, or it's very, very, very important for Spain's strategic interest, regional stability, and for the economic progress, not only of Spain, but also these developing countries in the Mediterranean basin, right? So I think it claims, or it needs, renewed attention and commitment on the side of all these countries, but also from Spain, on the side of Spain, okay? So the 1995 Euro-Mediterranean Ministerial Conference laid the foundation for the process, but then a significant milestone was the first summit in November 2005. So 2005, 10 years later, with 27 participating countries, all right? And if we go to the current time now in the Mediterranean, I will just summarize the whole thing, and then Ramiro can comment on this. That the main issues, the main worries for the European Union, and so for the Spanish government as well, are how to deal with the migrants and the asylum seekers coming through the Mediterranean basin. That's number one. Two, how to keep a good equilibrium with countries such as Turkey with Erdogan, a very fierce, a very aggressive president, as you probably know, in Kazakhstan. Well, he has had tensions with countries such as Greece, and France joined in order to support the Greek stand on this issue. Why? Because Turkey feels that his country is being left out of all oil and petrol explorations in the Mediterranean, okay? So he had issues there with the national waters, how you say, the sovereignty, right? When it comes to, well, which country has the right to explore this area in the sea, right? Is it Greece? Is it Turkey? So again, I don't want to go very much into the defined details, but I do want to give you a very comprehensive summary of all the situations that are, all the questions that arise today when we talk about the Mediterranean situation or the Mediterranean issues. Well, we have to, again, deal with the own agenda of interest coming from countries such as Spain or Tunisia, etc. So migration, asylum seekers, and also like exploration of oil and gas in the Mediterranean basin. I think those are the key issues today. And again, much more cooperation and humanitarian aid is needed on the side of the European Union. Spain always supports all those efforts. I don't think it is vital for Spain's own economic and for gaining strategic influence in other areas, especially in Africa. It is very important for Spain to continue working to reactivate the Euro-Mediterranean process. Is that clear? Do you understand? Do you follow me when I say that? It is kind of lying there. It's sort of standby, this Euro-Mediterranean process, but they need to reactivate it. Sí, Ramiro.
Oh, sorry, no, just in a nutshell, it should add, of course, the importance that regain the Eastern Mediterranean waters, as you perfectly said, Susana, about the oil and gas explorations, which imposes challenges between the demarcation between the land, the sea areas belonging to Turkey, to Libya, even Cyprus, or even Israel and Greece, which recovers or recovered new importance. And I would like to remark and encourage you to go more in depth, should you be interested in, about the special relation Spain and Morocco have and share at the entrance of the Mediterranean, at the entrance of the Gibraltar Strait, and all the issues around that bilateral and I dare to say triangular relation with Algeria regarding the issues like Western Sahara, even issues regarding fish and fisheries in the Atlantic Ocean, the issues of the trespassing of ships within the Gibraltar Strait. For you to gain dimension or to assess the importance of the relation between Spain and especially Morocco. It's very important for this country, and it has, as Susana said earlier, has swift or changed the traditional Spanish position regarding the Western Sahara situation.
I mean, if we were going to continue with that, if we had a whole class devoted to that, I will need to explain how this Western Saharan issue started in the 70s. But again, I will have to tell you many other details that have happened in between. Why? Because Spain received, a couple of years ago, one of the key political figures from that Western Saharan territory, and he was sick with COVID and other medical treaties that he had to undergo, and he was received here in Spain. And Morocco got very upset about that, so they called ambassadors, back to offices, and basically what I want to summarize here is that Spain has to prioritize the Spanish government, not only Sanchez's government, but other governments have always decided pragmatically that they need to prioritize the relationship with the Moroccan monarchy and Moroccan king and the Moroccan government. Why? Because the immigration pressure is a very strong, powerful tool that they have to put pressure on Spain, but also because they have agreements, as Ramiro said, fisheries. Imagine the European Union has denounced, the European Union Court of Justice has denounced agreements between EU member states and Morocco for exploring the fisheries in the Atlantic Ocean, because they say that those waters belong to the Western Sahara people. So the European Union would be fishing in waters that are claimed by the Western Sahara. This is a whole legal thing that is happening right now. I mean, these cases last forever and ever, and they go through very lengthy processes. But this is just to tell you that Spain and Morocco have always enjoyed a very strong relationship, and it needs to be like that. Why? Because we're neighbors. We're neighbors in the south. And despite the fact that public opinion, at the beginning of our conversation today, you had one question asking about Spain, but also the public opinion in Spain, where the society, the people themselves, they feel that we owe something to the Western Sahara people. But the government needs to be pragmatic. That's why you find the change, the shift change in the Sanchez stand towards the Western Sahara, in a way sidelining with the monarchy, saying, okay, autonomy will be good enough as a response, as a solution for the problem, and the Western Saharan people say no. Not only they regret it, they reject it. Okay. But again, if you are the president of a country such as Spain, you do need to understand that there are other threats coming from Morocco, such as the immigration. In one day, maybe you can find, if the border guards open the guards open the borders, the doors, maybe 8,000, 10,000 people can just enter Spain within one day. Can you imagine? That's a big pressure on any Spanish government. Okay, so all those issues are happening there. But again, going back to the Mediterranean, I will say that that right now there are other issues that are demanding the attention of the EU and Spain. But that Euro-Mediterranean process should be reactivated as soon as the Ukrainian-Russian war is finished, and as soon as the ceasefire or the end of this, I call it aggression, military offensive on the side of the Israeli government in Gaza finishes. Okay, that would be the right time. Okay, if you want to continue with questions.
Yeah, I think, thank you for your answers. It was perfect. Now I can think that my colleague, Diana, will ask her questions.
Okay.
Hello, Professor.
Hello.
My first question, how is Spain participating in international security efforts such as NATO, and what are its defense policy priorities?
Okay, well, Spain, again, contributes to international security efforts through NATO and other forums, participating in missions and upholding defense commitments. Spain also gives priority to collective defense, counterterrorism, and addressing emerging threats, especially in the European and the Mediterranean region, as we said before. And the Spanish armed forces also get actively involved in all NATO operations. Spain joined the North Atlantic Treaty, the organization, the NATO, on May the 30th, 1982, before it joined the European Union. And since its accession, Spain has been a very active participant in all NATO security initiatives. Okay, some of the contributions from the Spanish point of view have been military commitments. Spanish troops have been involved in peacekeeping efforts, crisis response, and other security operations, participation in NATO exercises, joint exercises, enhancing interoperability among allied forces, and ensuring preparedness for a range of security scenarios. For example, I remember vividly Spain participating from day one in all the NATO negotiations, but also joint operations in Poland in order to be prepared in case they needed to enter Ukraine and help Ukraine. And also if Russia continued attacking Poland. So they've been operating there since last year, let's say, in Poland. And also seeking strategic partnerships. For example, Spain has engaged in strategic dialogue and collaboration within NATO, contributing to the alliance's decision-making processes and policy discussions. It is a country that faces certain challenges in order to continue investing money into obtaining more defense technologies. I think that is something that is not well seen in the society. I mean, you will need to explain as a country, President Sanchez will need to explain that. But modernizing the armed forces, modernizing the equipment as well. We were very much aware of that when Ukraine was demanding a few months ago. They wanted the how you call them, the tanks, the combat tanks, and Spain sent. Some of them were very, very old and very, I mean, not only old-fashioned, but they were not as efficient as they should be today, right? So modernizing technology, defense technology, and modernizing the armed forces, it's a big issue for Spain today. And also Spain has contributed to NATO's deterrence and defense initiatives. This involves collective defense measures to ensure the security and stability of NATO member states. Again, Spain has never had any problems with following the instructions given to all NATO members. If one of the countries is attacked, then all of them have to respond, and Spain has always complied with that that close. So I would say that for the time being, Spain needs to reconsider how much money wants to put into the defense budget in order to increase the investment in, I would say, sophistication or defense equipment that needs to be bought or developed. Remember, Spain is also a country that sells arms and has an arms industry, but somehow some of our equipment is very, very old now and not as effective as it should be.
Just to wrap up, I was thinking while Susana was talking that the very accession of Spain to NATO in the early 80s was much discussed internally during those days, was very functional to the new role NATO was being rethought, let's say, or reconsidered, because once the original threat that was communism, finally ended by the 89, 90s, the NATO has had to reconsider new threats, and that's what appeared. All the southern border, all the issues related to migration, the Arab issue, and the sort of Muslim threat to NATO or to Western Europe. So the Spanish position or the Spanish accession to NATO during those days was very functional. Spain became a confident, a trustworthy ally to NATO, has a base in Spanish territory. So it's a very important ally or organization.
Correct.
Thank you. And my second question, what is the position of the Kingdom of Spain regarding the Ukraine-Russian conflict? Who has Spain recently been suspected of violating anti-Russian sanctions?
Yes, well, this is also a very lengthy question. We will need to go step by step, but basically, just to summarize the whole thing, Spain always supports all EU decisions. It has always been like that with economic, whether it's economic or diplomatic, political, just strategic decisions. Spain always follows suit with the EU decisions. That is to say, they always agree with Brussels. Whatever comes out of Brussels or the European Commission or the European Parliament, they always support that. But even the diplomatic and economic sanctions imposed on the Russian regime, on Putin, against Putin, they have also agreed to send military equipment, as I said before, but also military personnel in order to train Ukrainian officials or soldiers, but also for patrolling missions in Poland. So although diplomatically wise, they say we support a peaceful resolution of the conflict, I mean, they have been very actively involved in it since the beginning, sending all those materials and defense equipment to Ukraine. And of course, Spain does not suffer any threat from the point of view of restraining the gas or petrol providing. I mean, Putin was providing with substantial amounts of petrol and gas to Germany and other European countries. It doesn't have to be inside the EU, but for example, Switzerland as well, right? Spain does not suffer from any shortage of gas or petrol because it has other providers. I mean, they have relations with other countries such as Algeria, such as Qatar, okay? But I think it was a window of opportunities for Spain in order to tell its colleagues in the European Union. For example, he said to Germany, hey, we can be your bridge between the Arabian countries or Saudi Arabia, Qatar, etc., the Arab monarchies producing petrol and gas, right? And we can get the supply from Qatar to Spain and from Spain to distribute that gas and petrol to other European countries, okay? But basically, just to wrap up, Spain fully supports all EU decisions with regards to Ukrainian-Russian conflict. So that is to say, they view the conflict as a war of aggression and an unjustified and illegal invasion of Russia of the Ukrainian territory. And Josep Borrell, the foreign policy of the EU is under the control or the instructions of a Spanish politician. So again, I think Spain enjoys the support of the EU members when it comes to addressing and appointing key names or key political figures from Spain in order to direct those boards, those departments or commissions in the European Union, right? It works both ways.
Thank you, very interesting. Thank you for answering the question. And the next student will ask a question.
Hello, Professor Mangana, it's Miras, and I have also a question about Spain. And like as we know, Spain has 17 autonomous regions, each of which has considerable autonomy in managing their own affairs, such as education, healthcare system, and culture. And the question is, what do you think? Could those regions start some movements of rebellion for independence in a few years, and how much government is ready to solve this problem? And in your opinion, what is the position of Spain as a state about the migration of Africans?
Oh, so you're mixing there the autonomy regions, like the one where I'm talking from, Basque Country. I'm in Basque Country right now, and Catalonia, with African migration. Well, I think the migration issues, we already dedicated quite a few minutes to answer that question. We do have a lot of immigrants coming from Africa, most of them without documents, without the legal visas in order to enter our space, the Schengen space. So that was answered before, if you allow me to say so. The reason why I didn't include a slide for this topic is because there is so much to be said. I'm going to try to summarize it, and Ramiro can also contribute with ideas to this issue. Spain basically has two autonomic regions that demand each time more autonomy from the national center government from Madrid. It doesn't matter whether it's right-wing, left-wing party that controls Spain. These two regions always want more autonomy, more freedom of choice and decision. That's the Basque Country in the north, and also in the north, Catalonia, yeah, Barcelona being the big city there. And in Basque Country, we have the government is established in Vitoria, although there are other two more, I would say, more better known or more famous cities, such as San Sebastian and Bilbao, where I'm talking to you from. The relationship is tense with Catalonians right now because Sanchez didn't win the past elections in July this year. So he had to sign, let's summarize this. He needed the agreements with the Catalonian parties, nationalist parties, in order to be re-elected as president of Spain. And that has just happened a few weeks ago. So Sanchez has signed unilaterally a policy in order to grant amnesty, political amnesty, to one of the key figures from the Catalonian parties fighting for the independence, called Puigdemont. He was a European deputy working from Brussels, so he was there. He couldn't enter Spain after he quitted. That was after the referendum, the Catalonian referendum, right, Ramiro?
Yeah,
And
right.
he left. Yeah, he left the country in 2017, November 2017. He left Spain. He couldn't come back because if he had entered Spain, he would have been caught by the police and he would have been driven to the justice or to the court and then to prison, right? For treachery, he will have been dealt with as a traitor to the country, okay? Because he tried unilaterally to call for independence in Catalonia, which is against the constitution, right? But Sanchez, the current president, has been re-elected thanks to those votes from the nationalist parties in Basque Country and in Catalonia. So he has had to agree for a policy that says that there is political amnesty for this oppositor and other Catalonian key figures that were involved in the referendum in 2017. So this has created an enormous division between the right and the left-wing parties, or center-left parties here, Socialist Party, and the right-wing party, Partido Popular, it's called, right? Popular Party in Spain. So again, these two autonomous regions, they enjoy, but that is very much the factual situation today, current situation today. For you and your question, I think it would be enough to know that these different autonomous regions in Spain, they all have their own government, they all have their own parliamentarians, they all have their own politicians. So the degree of autonomy in the different 17 regions in Spain is very, very high. But in Catalonia and in Basque Country, we have a different language as well. So this adds to the problem, right? Why? Because people have had enough time now since the death of the dictator Franco, since the mid-70s, 75, in fact, to be more precise. We've had a long span of time. In those years, we have developed not only an architecture of administrative offices, but also the culture, the society has evolved to a society that says, well, this is our cultural heritage, we want to maintaining, we want to be able to speak and write and live with the Catalonian language, with the Galician language in the north as well, and the Basque language, okay? So the degree of autonomy in Basque Country and in Catalonia is superlative, is really, really high. Imagine, where I live now, we have control over the prisons. I mean, all the policies in this Basque Country, autonomous region, are policies that, okay, they fully comply with the Spanish framework, legal framework, and the European Union legal framework, but we also issue our own laws here in the Basque Country, all right? We have the national festivities, but also we add certain local festivities. We have control over our prisons. We have control over our education system. So
the police, even the police.
To the police, we have autonomous police. Yes, sorry, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, it's a very unique case in the world, I think, where you find autonomous regions functioning within I mean, it's not a federation, like it's not a federal system like in Germany, but it's this peculiar system of autonomous regions. Again, your question is a bit tricky because I'm trying to explain the general overview of these autonomies. But when you ask about threats and independence, etc., I think Spain only has, I mean, only no, how can I say it? The Basque don't want a complete independence from Spain today. I think that those days are gone, but they do want to maintain their autonomy. And in Catalonia, we will need to see what the society, what the citizens will vote today. I don't think they will vote for independence, but they will certainly vote for achieving more and more autonomy each time. I mean, what I'm trying to say is they always want a higher degree or level of autonomy. For example, when it comes to money is a big issue always. So they want to be able to control their finances, these regions, and they don't want to send back to Madrid, to the central state, to the central government, for example, a lot of taxes or money, because they think that money has to be kept in our autonomous regions. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And that creates tensions with those governments, autonomous governments.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer.
All right.
It's actually interesting to know about this autonomous, own police, and I didn't know about it.
Yeah, we have the national police, but we also have the autonomous police, and we have the national regulations, but also we have certain autonomous policies and regulations and norms that are sanctioned here in our courts, and they apply in Basque Country, Galicia, or in Catalonia, just to mention 3 of them, because these are the most tricky ones. Why? Because the concept of cultural inheritance here is very, very strong. We have our own language, we have a different history from other regions in the country. So the society demands that, but not necessarily independence, complete secession, let's say, from the Spanish territory. No, I don't think that there is going to be a movement in the future, because I think Spain knows too well, and the Spaniards, we know too well that we need to be within the European Union framework and scheme of work, and we cannot just go on unilaterally on our own. Certain minds, certain people and politicians in Catalonia play with this, but I think ultimately, if they were to celebrate today a referendum, I don't know what Ramiro says, we're just using our imagination here, right? But I don't think the independence option will win the referendum. Maybe there wouldn't be a huge difference, but by a small percentage of votes, I think most people will still decide to stay within Spain.
I think, I personally think that the independence strength has lost momentum.
Momentum, yes.
Because the difference is what happened between among politicians, as Susana referred to, all these negotiations. President Sanchez had to develop in order to be appointed or reappointed as prime minister or president of the government, but instead. And differently is the perception the citizens, the Catalonian citizens have, and I think, and I agree with Susana, that the independence movement has lost strength. And talking about European Union, the European Union had already warned that if any secessionist territory of Spain achieved independence, would this doesn't imply that they will automatically join the EU. In fact,
of course,
this new eventual new territory should have to follow all the steps to the addition process of the European Union. Like we referred to earlier today to Moldavia or Georgia or even Ukraine. So this is an important warning that the European made sort of warning that it won't be easy for an eventual new country to join the European Union.